And here's your host of Living the Country Life, Betsy Freeze.
Living in the country gives your pets plenty of places to play, but are they healthy? Today we have Dr. Mike Paul. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Dr. Paul, tell me, what is the organization that you're involved with?
Well, I'm here to tell you about the Companion Animal Parasite Council, which is an organization of veterinarians and veterinary parasitologists, physicians, and commercial sponsors. And we're here to tell you a little bit about parasites of dogs and cats and how they can affect the dog and people.
Now, when you live out in the country, are there more parasites and different parasites that you need to be concerned with?
Well, most of the parasites we're concerned about are pretty much everywhere, but there certainly is a greater exposure here in rural America, if you will. Animals roam more, they're exposed more to external parasites, fleas and ticks and mosquitoes, and so certainly they're at a little bit greater risk than other dogs are. We're concerned about things like heartworms, we're concerned about intestinal worms, and we're concerned about protozoan that they might get infected with too.
What are some of the ways that they can get into these parasites?
Most parasites are transmitted by ingestion. The dog eats something that has the eggs or the larvae in it, and that allows the parasite to get into the dog. In the case of heartworms, it's transmitted by mosquito bites.
Right. Now, I know heartworms is a problem and can be very expensive to treat, if it's even treatable.
Well, it's treatable in dogs, fortunately, and we've got great drugs that control the product or control the disease in dogs, but it's far easier to prevent than it is to treat.
Right.
And so we recommend that all dogs and cats be on preventive medication on a year-round basis, and that will prevent heartworms. Additionally, most of those same products, or many of them anyway, also prevent infection with intestinal parasites.
How often do I need to take a dog like Molly into the veterinarian?
Well, we recommend that all dogs and cats go to the veterinarian at least yearly and sometimes twice yearly, and that they be tested for intestinal parasites and for heartworms on at least a yearly basis.
Okay, and then the treatment, how often do they need to get medicine?
Most of the drugs that we're talking about are used on a monthly basis, and again, year-round, you either apply or administer a product once a month, and these products are extremely effective, extremely safe, and they prevent infection with both intestinal worms and heartworms. The other thing is fleas and ticks, and there are some excellent products that are applied, again, monthly, and do a very good job at controlling fleas and ticks.
Dr. Paul, how do I tell if Molly would have parasites?
Unfortunately, oftentimes you can't because they have subclinical infections. And so the best way to test or to determine that is to take your dog to the veterinarian and have them tested on a yearly basis. Have stool samples checked for parasites and have blood samples run for heartworm disease.
All right. How often do I do that?
At
Every
least
year?
Yearly.
What other intestinal worms should we be aware of?
In terms of parasites, the biggest ones we worry about are roundworms, hookworms, whipworms, and tapeworms.
All right.
And then also Giardia, which especially in rural America, dogs are exposed to because of the fact that they drink from streams and lakes and places like that.
Yeah.
They may have been contaminated with Giardia and other protozoa.
People can get that too, can't they?
Yes, they can, usually from the common source. In other words, the people drink the water too. It's not that they're catching them from the dog.
Right. Are there parasites that you can get from dogs?
Absolutely. Not so much directly from the dog as much as the fact that when the dog is infected with these parasites, they pass the eggs or they pass the immature form of the parasite, and then children especially can inadvertently ingest these products, and then we've got serious trouble.
So what do I do to keep that from happening?
Well, the number one thing is control the parasites in the dogs. The first thing we tell you is, just try and keep the dog from shedding these parasites by using monthly control products. The second thing especially with human control is making sure that people practice good sanitation and washing their hands after handling dogs, making sure that kids don't eat things in the yard, that they're not playing in sandboxes.
Yeah.
And the other issue is not allowing your animals to run free where they might be eating things that they shouldn't and coming in contact with wildlife that might serve as a reservoir, and always feed prepared dog foods. Don't feed raw foods or raw meats.
Right. Anything else that you think we should be aware of?
I think the biggest thing with dogs is that we want to keep dogs and cats is keep them healthy by preventive care. Trying to take the animal to the veterinarian on a regular basis, making sure that vaccinations are current, making sure that we control internal and external parasites, Fleas and ticks can transmit a number of diseases. So all of these things are things that we want to try and control. Dogs live very intimately with us anymore, and cats live in our homes with us anymore. And it's very important for us to try and keep them healthy, not only for their own sake, but for our family's sake too.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
To keep your pets healthy and your children safe, have your pets checked regularly for parasites.